Hey, welcome to Tales from the Troll Hole. I'm your host, Cecil B, and together we're going to dive deep into the internet and find what stories there are to be read, enjoyed, laughed at, cried with, you name it. Thanks for coming along on this journey with me. Now grab your torch and pitchfork. Let's dive into this troll hole. All right, here we are again. It's you and I, pal. And today I thought it would be fun if we talked about the most embarrassing things that people have done, said, or witnessed, because who doesn't love a good cringe? You know, who doesn't like that? A lot of people, probably. But right now, that's what I want to talk about. So I've got to say, embarrassment has got to be one of the silliest, most adorable human traits. And of course, I mean, nobody likes to be embarrassed in the moment, but don't those make wonderful stories if it's not like super traumatic and awful? But let's see what's going on here. Let's get into some stories. Let's cringe together, shall we? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Also, side note, all the stories that I'm going to talk about today are from Reddit. So just going to say they're from Reddit. I'm just going to say the username. I'm not going to be like blah, 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 on Reddit. Because I don't want to, okay? Shut up. Okay, our first one comes from Friendly Owl 8086. A close friend of mine was going in to have a mass on his brain removed. We were trying to make light of the situation with dark humor. For example, hey, if they rewire you wrong, maybe you could come out with superpowers. I added, yeah, you could come out like Stephen Hawking. Oh, no. I meant with super intelligence. The conversation swiftly moved on. Pleased to report his surgery went without a hitch, and he's since made a full recovery, sadly with no superpowers, but I'll never forgive myself for that epic foot in mouth. Oof. I probably would have just immediately called it out and been like, I'm such a fucking idiot. I'm so sorry. That's, oof. That hurts. It's already it's the first one and it hurts. Here's another from Reasonable Fail 1921. Not that recent, but at work someone asked me how I was. I tried to say good and not bad at the same time. Instead, confidently told them, not good. I love those where your wires get crossed for a second, and then you sort of squint and you're like, what just happened? I mean, I'm glad that wasn't a mortifying one, but still, it's embarrassing when your brain doesn't word right. The next story comes from Welsh D. Got very drunk before an outdoor wedding. Have no memory of the entire ceremony or after. Woke up with my suit covered in mud, blood, and a cut hand. I'm utterly mortified. To be fair, the wedding started at 3 and football was on at noon. That's the worst kind of embarrassment after you've enjoyed a substance a bit too much. And then you're just the next day, you're like, what have I done? Especially at a wedding, because everybody photographs and videos every second of those things from multiple angles. Oh, I would be afraid to ask what happened. But also, I gotta say, if somebody had done that at my wedding, I would have cut together a documentary style film of their actions and just sent it to them privately. If maybe that's evil. Am I an evil? Am I a supervillain? I don't think so. I'm using my powers for good. That's what I'm doing. Yes, I'm a good person, okay? This next one comes from Alternative Yellow, and it's about embarrassing moments in a hospital. These next few are. Patient. I'm so stressed out about my surgery and not having insurance. I don't know what to do. I can't afford a $20,000 bill. Me. Oh God, no, it'll be way more than that. I immediately died. Oh man, I know, this had to have happened in America because that's probably one of the only places where stuff like that happens. But I just want that person to know that if I had been that patient, I would have laughed like in misery, like sad clown kind of laughing, but we would have had a moment. This is another hospital story from Stunning Cheetah 1985. Family came in asking after their relative. I replied, "He's no longer with us." Clocked the looks of surprise and devastation when I remembered to add, "He's been transferred to the 4th floor." Oh no! Oh, that's awful. Next, we're going to take a gander at some embarrassing things in job interviews. This will be a good one. Okay, this is from a deleted user. The owner asked me, "Where are you?" meaning which city was I located, and I responded, "In my room." I mean, you probably could have played that off like it was a really funny joke, you know? Oh, that's the comment below it. This just sounds like a good joke. You could easily play your way out of that one with just a little bit of grace, but that is so funny. I would find that as a person who has done interviews before, I would find that endearing. I'd be like, okay, that's really fun. Next question. This one is from Raptor Chef 325. In the early days of the pandemic, my friends and I would log on to Zoom calls and have a beer, often using immature names. Oh no. One time, I logged in as Mr. PP Poo Poo Pants. A few days later, I had an interview with Deliot. Changing your name in Zoom isn't immediately obvious, and I mistakenly logged in as Mr. PP Poo Poo Pants for the interview. Needless to say, I did not get the job. Oh my God. That reminds me of this wonderful video that has been circulating when court went online during COVID. And it was someone who had logged in, and the judge was taking sort of a roll call for who was present, and he got to the defendant, and he was logged in as Buttfucker 3000. And the judge was like, "Your name is not Buttfucker 3000. Why does it say that? How could you do that in my courtroom?" And he was like, "I don't even know how that happened. I have no idea." I suspect my theory about that situation was that he was using a friend's computer who was doing a similar thing to what this Reddit user was doing. Meeting with friends over Zoom, having a fun time, and changing your name into funny things, seeing who can have the funniest name. And he's like, "Hey, let me use your computer for this Zoom court thing." That is what I suspect happened. It makes me laugh every time it comes up on my TikTok. It is so good. Not to laugh at that person's issue, but you know what? If we're not going to laugh at these things, what are we just going to do? Sit around and be sad about it? I don't think so. Not me. Next one is from Earth Sun Flowers. One time, someone asked what I would do if there was an elephant in the room, and I said, "Ride it," or something stupid like that. I did not get the job. The elephant in the room. That's a weird way to ask that question, though. How would you handle an awkward situation with coworkers where you couldn't discuss an issue publicly or something? That's a very odd way to say it. And I feel like so many people, now that neurodivergence is more generally accepted in the day-to-day life, a lot of people take things literally. And I feel like, especially in a job situation where you want to see the best that a person has to offer, you should leave very little room for misinterpretations. And that colloquial sort of idiom kind of is weird. So I think that was on the interviewers. That was not on you. And that was a very funny answer to the question. So I think you did great. This is from a deleted user. I was nervous. I went in and thought the interviewer was about to say, "How are you?" Instead, she said, "My name is Jan," and I enthusiastically responded with, "Good." The comment below says, "Conversational skills of a future U.S. Senator." God, people are funny. Man. Here's one from Monster Munch 96. I was interviewing for a job at a financial type company, pretty sure it was pensions or something, years ago, and they asked what my weaknesses are, and I legit said maths. Never wondered why they didn't get back in touch, lol. I really find those sort of self-probing questions interesting, like what are your weaknesses? Because they want to know more than what your weaknesses are. They're mostly interested in how you approach a weakness, because everybody has them. So are you going to just claim that you don't? Because that's going to be a problem. How do you approach your weaknesses? Are they problems? Do they not exist? Are you ignoring them? Are they hurdles you can't get over? Or are you thinking of it as an opportunity? So once I started interviewing people, I realized that, and it really changes the way you interview once you see the other side of it. But those questions are so interesting. I wish we could put together, somebody had to have done this. I'm not creating a brand new idea over here. I think it'd be really cool to see the data of people's answers globally to that question and look at all of it and sort of find the meaning that's in that data. I'm a Capricorn, so maybe that's just me being extra Capricorn-y. But I think that'd be fascinating. I love data. Man. All right, so these ones are no longer job interview themed. It's just sort of general. But this one comes from Indecisive NYL. One time in high school, my history teacher played an old video of Bill Clinton, and I sat right by his desk and said, "Why is he kind of fine, though?" in a whisper to my friend in front of me. It was unfortunately a loud whisper. My teacher stopped the video and turned to me in shock, as everyone in the class turned to me too. It's been 4 years, and when I see my teacher in a store, he still remembers me clearly, and I know it's because of that. Why would that be so embarrassing? I mean, I think that's so funny. I don't know why I hope people were laughing, because I think that's super funny. I mean, it'd be probably one of those situations where you're trying so hard not to laugh. Those wonderful, wonderful school moments where you're just silently busting a gut, tears streaming. Oof. I have a feeling it would be like that. But that's so funny. And also, you have very interesting taste in human beings, because he is not, in fact, fine. Here is one from Ravensshire Express. My significant other and I bumped into an acquaintance one day, and we made the usual small talk. We asked her what she'd been up to lately, but I didn't quite hear her response, so I did that awkward nod, smile, and said, "Ah, all right, cool." But my significant other responded solemnly, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that." Oof, my stomach dropped. We exchanged a few more pleasantries before we parted ways. The second she left, I asked my significant other what she had said because I didn't catch it. She said her husband divorced her, and my dumbass just smiled wide and went, "Ah, all right, cool." I totally understand that when your social battery just starts to run out and you're like, "I'm not listening anymore. We're going into nod and smile territory. Do the pageant wave. Get out of here." Now I'm kind of wondering what else I've kind of nod and smiled along to. That was not good. Nah, I don't care. Whatever. Here's one from Opel Mescubia. I had pregnancy brain really bad and was trying to read a customer tracking number over the phone. I couldn't remember the phonetic alphabet. I'm not sure I actually know it anyway. And I said Q as in quail, R, like what a pirate says. And the customer hung up on me. I get that. Okay, if I had been on the other end of that phone call and you were saying those things to me, I would have thought that you were like calling me stupid or something, but clearly that's not what happened. Oh boy. One of the comments says E as in Chuck E. Cheese. All right, petition to change the phonetic alphabet like whiskey, tango, foxtrot. We need to start coming up with new ones because that is hilarious. Here's one from a deleted user. When I was about to buy and ask what the meds are for a sore throat, I asked the pharmacist, "What's the medicine for deep throat?" Oh no. Comment below it says, "Time to go to a different store forever." Just, you see that pharmacist anywhere, in any context, and I mean, oh no. I'd be like, "Well, we've got antiseptic." Oh my God. Here's one from a wonderful username, Cat Bastard. I was in high school and we had a prize giving ceremony during our school assembly. My name gets unexpectedly called out, so I make my way to the front of the hall to collect my prize. I'm almost at the front when I have a sudden crisis of confidence and think that I must have misheard them and there's no way they called my name. So I turn around, walk back to my chair, and sit down. All my friends are looking at me and ask what the hell I'm doing and tell me to get back up there and collect my prize. So I get back up, walk all the way to the front, then have another crisis of confidence and think that my friends must have been messing with me. So I turn around and walk back to my chair and sit back down. The hall is silent and the teachers are on stage looking at me like I just landed from another planet. The comment right below it says, "In your desire to avoid embarrassment, you embarrassed yourself most of all." I can't stop thinking about just the pacing and the sitting back down and the standing up and the pacing and sitting back down. Why wouldn't they just repeat the name? Just repeat the name. End the torture of this student. Repeat the name. Ooh, I will say another embarrassing thing, genre that I love is when people are graduating and people say names wrong. I'm not supposed to like it. That's a really good moment for a lot of people. But some of them are really fucking funny, and I can't help it. And also news bloopers, live news bloopers. Get the fuck out of here. So good. Outstanding. All right, here's one from a deleted user. Easily, the time I was breakdancing in drama class in grade 11 and kicked a girl in the face. That's just like in The Office in Jim and Pam's wedding when Dwight is trying to dance down the aisle and kicks Isabel in the face. I mean, it's classic cringe. Classic cringe. Here's one from Hipster Galt. When I was like 5, I shouted at my sister, "You're an idiot, IDOT." 21 years later, I have yet to live it down. This is a story from Scott6561. I had the Bacchanal buffet at Caesars on my last day in Vegas on one of my yearly trips. Oh no. I was fine until I got on the plane. I had to shit so bad and it was going to be diarrhea. However, we were racing a storm, so the flight attendants asked everyone to remain seated so we could leave. I begrudgingly agreed with my insides on fire. 25 minutes after sitting, waiting to take off, they announced that we'd have to taxi back and go from the opposite direction for a wind shift. It was another 30-minute delay. Then we finally got into the air and fly right into the storm. It was turbulent and would last another 10 minutes. The seatbelt sign was on, but I couldn't ignore it anymore. Finally went to go shit. I exploded as soon as I got in there. Everyone on the back of the plane could smell it when I opened the door. One guy even called me out on it. Oh well, my fault for eating oysters on a buffet. Ugh. But also rude of that person to call it out. So rude. What are you supposed to do? Unshit? Unshit the shat? I don't think so. That person, that's so rude. There's something that you don't hassle people about, and it's like butt functions, because you can't help it. And if you are somebody who calls somebody out on something, unless that person like angrily shits their pants just to make a mess for somebody else to clean up and some sort of weird retaliation, then leave it alone. But that situation is rare, so maybe just mind your business, plain smell caller outer man. Here's one from username Huckleberry. I was working at a skating rink as a DJ and used to throw on my skates to mingle with customers. One of my skate moves was to drop down into the splits and pull myself back up, like that one scene in Michael Jackson's Bad music video. One evening, a regular rink rat child asked me to do the splits. I obliged him and dropped down into the splits position. However, this time I didn't come back. Fast forward to me having my pants cut off by the EMT and being given morphine on the skate floor while customers continued to skate before being taken to the hospital. I had dislocated my patella. Oh no. The story doesn't stop there because the skating rink's GM stopped into the hospital to check on me, and I found it slightly odd that he rotated awkwardly from across the open space in the room to around the bed, cutting through the medical machines, almost knocking them over, and cables to stand against the gap in the wall to talk to me by my head. Being doped up, I did not realize at the time that my patient gown was thrown open and he saw all of my business. All right, so these ones are the most embarrassing thing that you've ever witnessed as an onlooker. So this first one comes from Vacan Vox. I used to work in nightclubs. I once witnessed a girl leaning against a wall, casually flirting with a guy. As she laughed, she actually shit herself. She was wearing a white dress. No, and there was no hiding what had happened. The smell actually cleared the whole level of the club. She ran out crying. We had to clean poo off the floor where she'd been standing. I often wonder what she's doing now. Oh, man. This one comes from Joyce Reardon. All right, so my husband and I were driving around the city, and it was pouring outside, absolutely pouring. We were about to pass the light rail tracks, train tracks going in both directions, when the crossing gates came down because the light rail was approaching. One idiot in a van decided he could make it across before the gates came all the way down. He kept on driving, but he didn't make it. Instead, his vehicle was now trapped between the gates. We could see from our car that this person was panicking. His life was flashing before his eyes. In his movie mind, the light rail was about to crash into the van and drag it for dozens of yards before finally stopping, so he did what anyone would do. He violently pushed the door open and ran into the pouring rain for his life. He was halfway down the street before he stopped, turned around, and noticed that the light rail was patiently waiting for him to move his vehicle. The door was still open. My husband and I just about pissed ourselves laughing. Oh, man. That's tough because that is, better safe than sorry, right? Which is obviously not what that person chose to do when they drove towards the closing gate. But they probably realized their mistake and then wanted to be better safe than sorry and not get hit by the train. And to have witnesses too. Ugh. How awkward for that person. You got to get a new car at that point, right? New license plates. You can't be seen in that car again. Burn your clothes. Assume a new identity. Yikes. Because that's probably, I hope that wasn't like a commute, like a regular route for that person. Oh boy. Okay, so that's it for the embarrassing stories. Now we've got to get into some frog facts, y'all, because that's what it's all about. That's what the whole world is about. It's the frogs, man. So I wanted to look at the Goliath frog today, the largest frog in the world. The name is pretty indicative of that fact. And these facts today are coming from the San Diego Zoo.org. So the lifespan, they may live up to 15 years or more in their native habitat. I think that's fascinating. That's pretty old for a frog. They could almost drive. So they can lay several thousand eggs at a time, and the incubation period, that's longer than I thought. It's 85 to 95 days. For some reason, I thought it was like a week. Boom, frog. Froglet, tadpole. This is a fun one. Okay, age of maturity, possibly 10 to 12 months, but not known for certain. I love that there's frogs that there are basic things about them that are not known for certain. We're unsure about this. How mature are you, Goliath frog? Do you still laugh at fart jokes? Or are you watching your sodium intake? How mature are you? Let us know, because nobody has any fucking idea. That's wild. Okay, so let's figure out what makes this Goliath frog so Goliath. So the length is 8, oh my God, that'd be crazy. 8 to 12.5 inches, not including the legs, so up to 29.5 inches with the legs extended. That's enormous. That's over 2 feet long. Okay, here we go. Now let's get into some fun frog facts. Goliath frogs can jump almost 10 feet forward. 10 feet. You'd think that such a large frog would make a loud croak, but Goliath frogs don't have a vocal sac and are mute? What? I thought they were going to be making like the Hamburg horn at the Battle of Helm's Deep type noises. That's wild. They can't make any noise at all? I guess nobody's perfect. Or maybe they have some sort of secret language where they slap their feet about in the mud, and it's like a mud slap language. Okay, this fact, not making this up at all. This is the kind of frog fact that I live for. The Goliath frog is also called the giant slippery frog. Who's in charge of naming these frogs? Because it should be my job. That is terrific. The giant slippery frog is exclusively how I will be referring to it now. I don't know why I get so excited and upset about these. It's just how cool it is. Why does it make me angry? What is the science about that? Dang. Oh, and here's another one. The giant slippery frog has been around for about 250 million years. Oh, they're endangered, though. Gotta be careful with those little guys. The little quiet giants of the mud. All right, they live in small ranges in the rainforest at the equator of Western Africa, near swift moving rivers and waterfalls. The giant slippery frog eats the same types of food that other frogs do: insects, crustaceans, fish, and other amphibians. But one scientist found a bat in the stomach of the Goliath frog. Whoa, that's wild. What a world. What a world we live in, y'all. Okay, well, that about does it for this week. So I will see y'all next week. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I think I'm cooking up something pretty cool, like a series of episodes about a certain topic. So I'm cooking up something. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll change my mind and continue to do whatever I want. Who knows? Not me yet. You'll have to tune in next week and figure out what the fuck I'm doing. Okay, bye. Thank you so much for listening to Tales from the Troll Hole. I'm your host, Cecil B, and this show is produced by me. Our theme song is by Vervex. They're a great band. You should give them a listen. You can stream them anywhere. They're also on TikTok and Instagram. Remember to subscribe so that you don't miss out on a single episode. And also find us on Instagram, and then you can send in your own stories. I just ask that they're true and that they're not going to scar somebody for life. You know what I mean? Anyway, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week.